The people who thrive take advantage of every opportunity to grow, and they do that by understanding the season that they're in.
To conform is to go unnoticed. In order to be different, we cannot be the same. When we intentionally create value for someone, we're giving them a gift.
In thinking of my journey, when I look at the patterns of my life, my process of growth, I've realized that, like the seasons of nature, growth very similarly has 4 seasons. You know, as I've looked at this, I've categorized them as such. We have a season of planting, right? We have a season of tending what we've planted. We have a season of reaping, right? The harvest. And we have a season of rest, right? And all 4 of these seasons are a prerequisite to growth. And the insight here is that the people who thrive take advantage of every opportunity to grow, and they do that by understanding the season that they're in. That life and business have cycles. By understanding the season, we stay confident even when we don't see the fruit of our labor. And we understand that before the harvest, there's a season of tending. And before tending, there's a season of planting. And when we understand this, we no longer can we rationally compare ourselves to somebody who is in their season of harvest when we ourselves are in a season of planting or even tending. And so whether we feel creative and inspired or stagnant or stuck, we are promised all 4 seasons. And I want to spend some time breaking these down so that we can identify these seasons and thrive in these seasons. And so we're going to identify each one, and then we're also going to talk about what to be mindful of in these seasons, right? How to identify these seasons. So the 4 seasons of growth: planting, tending, reaping, and rest, right? And even for context, we can probably put these into kind of a natural comparison. Our season of planting would be our spring. Season of tending could be our summer. Season of reaping, that's our fall, of course. And the season of rest, we're going to call this one winter, where the ground actually rests and everything starts over. Let's jump in. Season of planting, right? In this season, we innately have the highest level of energy. Our creative juices are flowing, and during this season, our vision is heightened and probably the most clear. Our ideas are plenty, and our possibilities are endless. This is the season of peak energy, where we birth projects that align with our purpose. And there's tremendous focus, movement, and activity in this season. You're putting your plans together and your pieces in place. And it's a really, really busy season because of all of the heavy lifting. You're taking risks. You're igniting dreams. And in this season, there is a lot of knowledge work, right? Planning, delegation, coordination with your teams. Projects are literally being initiated, right? And created. And so, you know, we are choosing literally what seeds to plant. Ultimately, what boulders that we are committing to pushing uphill. in the distant future. When we're in the season of planning, we need to be mindful of the following. We have to make sure that we're planting the right seeds. Because this is the season of energy, you have to direct your vitality towards the right projects, because energy is like a battery. It continually draws downward. So you have to know your why so you can say no to everything else. You have to have a clear plan and vision, right? Your energy is precious, again, right? You want to optimize your energy in this season. Ensure that, we're putting the right seeds in the ground, because that is going to determine our harvest. And the third thing to kind of be mindful of is this is the season to sprint, right? We know that life is a marathon, not a sprint. But this is the time to sprint, right? We're igniting something. We're initiating something that will move the business forward. The second season of growth is the season of tending, right? Let's call this our summer. The seeds that we planted are being watered, nurtured, and cared for during this time. In this season, the energy from vision turns into momentum by the setting of mindset, habits, and discipline. It's huge, very, very important. We need structure and we need systems, right? And this is a season where you're definitely going to feel friction. You're going to feel resistance. You're going to feel that kind of need to persevere, and you're going to need patience, right? And this is actually the season I'm in right now, right? This is not an easy season, because this is really where you start forging growth. This is what they call the dip, right? And those that prosper have to persevere and work through the dip, because at the end of the day, we're fighting for our dreams. What do we look for in the season of tending? Well, first off, it's hot, it's sticky, right? And the temptation to get complacent and complain is very real. You'll have doubts. Can I really pull this off, right? But, deep down inside, you also know the answer to that question, and the answer is yes. Keep watering, keep tending, keep nurturing the seeds you've planted. You've got this. The harvest is right around the corner. Harvest time. Let's talk about reaping the harvest, the third season of growth. This is a season of fulfillment, right? When we reap the rewards of the hard work, commitment, and dedication, right? We've persevered, we've worked hard. The seeds that we planted are finally producing fruit. The wins are fortifying your culture, right? Your team is confident. They're excited about the future. And this is the season where your gratitude should be generously expressed, right? To yourself, but first to your people, right? Let your people know that you appreciate what they've accomplished. Why? Because it's harvest time, right? You want them to identify with that. What are we looking for in the harvest? The first thing that you really want to do is you need to stop and smell the roses, right? And you want to encourage your team to stop and smell the roses. Be transparent about what you've done that is successful. Look for opportunities to tell and give your team kind of a job well done, thank you, right? Also, the season of harvest is actually a season of saving, right? Because this is where you're going to put the money and the investment aside for the planting of new seeds in the coming fall, right? Because the season of planting is going to come around again. You've worked hard, you fought well, enjoy the win. It's time to plan your vacation though, right? It's time to rest, because winter is coming. And that leads us to the fourth season of growth, rest, also known as my winter. And then this is the season where you rejuvenate, you recharge, and you refresh. We have to remember again that life is a marathon. And during this time, you're going to notice business probably slow down a little bit. You're going to look and notice that the pipeline looks a little bit thin, right? The KPIs aren't necessarily adding up. Don't panic. Don't beat your team up, right? Remember the whole body of work here, right? You've just come through a season of harvest. And the reason why you don't want to panic is because this season, right, is meant to slow down for reflection and restoration. The things to be mindful about in this season. During this time, especially for entrepreneurs, we're going to feel anxiety, we're going to feel anxious, we're going to feel impatient, and we're going to have big time FOMO. You're going to feel like you're watching your peers in more fruitful seasons pass you by, right? They are reaping the rewards and you've stopped, right? But we have to remember that this isn't the season of energy abundance. This is a season of mindfulness and meditation. You're building your energy back up for when you will need it most, which is planting. Remember that you cannot speed up winter, right? Focus on really just that restoration, that rejuvenation. The season of spring is coming and you'll need the energy to plant and do it all over again. It's a great quote. I don't know who said it, but it goes like this. We cannot stop the winter or the summer from coming or making spring and fall other than they are. These are the gifts of life that we cannot refuse. We can only choose what will contribute to life when each one arrives. 4 seasons of growth, a time for planting, a time for tending, a time for reaping, and a time for rest. Stay well.